You can't hear me at all?
There we go.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
How are you? The kids are ready. Some of them will be joining from home and some of them from here, okay?
Okay. Let me quick try to get this on here and then we'll go.
Okay.
How many people do you have in school? Are you still
In
going
school,
both?
Six students out of 17.
Oh, wow.
Oh, 13. Yeah, the group is smaller this year.
Wow. That's
Most of
crazy.
them well, in this class, that's the way we're arranged. But in other grades, we're just missing one student from each grade, one or two.
We're missing this class more than half our class, I guess, that out with COVID right now.
Oh my God. No, we haven't had cases here, just outside cases, and then they go in quarantine for 10 days.
Oh, wow. See, we only go in quarantine for 5 days. And it's a kind of a revolving circle. And a lot of kids, because they don't have teachers, all go to like the auditorium and everybody else gets sick. So you just spread it around pretty quick. Well,
Yeah, we've been reading the news. Yesterday here in Guate, we had 3,000 cases. That's a lot for us. So we're waiting for Saturday that they give us the news spotlight because it changes every 2 weeks to see if we can continue coming or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I hope we do because we've seen, now that most of them are here, we've seen very terrible writing deficiencies in kids. And especially the ones in first grade, because the year that they entered, the pandemic started, so it's 2 years and they're just behind, way behind.
Yeah, I think we're going to have problems all the way down the line for many years to come. This is something that it's gonna impact education for a long time.
I know, especially like here, because most of the people in the rural areas haven't been able to access to education for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and you can't really just take off your first couple of years of primary school and expect to be successful later on. You know, it just doesn't work that way. How's your daughter doing in college? Which college did she end up going to?
Oh, no, she's waiting. She's waiting. Oh, she's in the admissions process right now, but I mean, she gets mails from the university where she applied that she needs more paperwork, and we're just like the financial aid process is terrible. Managing the CSS and the FAFSA, and yeah, she's waiting. She was accepted into Montana State, but it's very pricey.
Yes.
She got a $10,000 scholarship, but still it's like we would have to pay $30,000 and it's almost impossible. So
yeah, we had one student that she all excited. She came and said, I got accepted at Hawaii Pacific University. And then we found out the tuition, she got like a $500 scholarship, but the tuition was like $60,000. So, you know, that's the other part of the story they don't tell you. Here in the States, our college prices have gone up astronomical, and it doesn't really make sense. Well, I'll step away and let the kids start. So since we're the pro side, we'll go ahead and start first. And our first speaker will be right here.
All right, she looks frozen. Okay. Do I wait for her to be?
Ask her, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Oh, if you can hear us, just to let you know, on your side, you're frozen.
Okay. We're gonna have some issues probably because of the cold weather. Here we go. No, they're gonna go back in. Don't, hey, this is being recorded. So
All right, there you go.
yeah, they'll tell us when the questions are. Hopefully we get going before the time's up.
Can you hear us? Hello?
Nadia, can you hear us? picture was really good too, there for a while.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in the wintertime, we have more issues with connectivity. But I don't know if it's on her end or our end.
Uh-huh. Oh. Hi. You can hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Oh, it's your froze again. Damn. Just when we're about to start to.
She's also muted, so. Not like she would talk.
Yeah. We got some good pictures of us.
So I just
Okay, here goes Mitch.
hey,
I would say.
Good.
I'm sure she can hear us.
can you hear us?
I would say.
We'll see.
Dulce, Nadia. Wait. All right. Why, that's fine.
I would say. Somebody should just talk, she's so muted.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Yeah. They're just waiting for everyone to come in, I guess.
That's it. What is happening?
Oh, there you go. Hi.
Hello, Kitty, that's how you-
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks a lot then.
Do I just go?
Can we go ahead and start or? Go ahead.
All right, well, my name is Christoph Davila. I'll be representing the legal argument for this topic today. The topic is the death penalty. We are here to say that the death penalty is justified. Defining capital punishment. Capital punishment is defined as punishment of execution administered to someone of legal conviction of a capital crime. Reason why we allow people to serve such a punishment is because of the crimes they have committed. The crimes they have committed being so bad that those criminals have no way of redemption. Morally speaking, if there are bad people in our society, why would we want to keep them? Should we want to get rid of them since they're a threat to society and don't contribute any value? If we cared about our community, we shouldn't care about the cost it takes to get rid of these criminals, like domestic abusers or child molesters. If we allow criminals who have committed the worst crimes to continue to live in our society, what does that say about our justice system, and what does that say about us? We have a justice system for a reason: to promote good and restrain evil. A legitimate society protects and preserves individual rights, and when one person substantially and harmfully infringes on other rights, it is justified to punish them. According to poll data, among the public overview, 64% say that the death penalty is morally justified in cases of murder, while 33% say it is not justified. An overwhelmingly share of the death penalty supporters, 90%, say it is morally justified under such circumstances, compared to 25% of death penalty opponents. This is important because we decide our morals in our society through what the majority of people think. We turn these morals into laws. The use of the death penalty is the most severe punishment the government may impose, and certainly we do not want to impose it if it on the truly innocent. But but a morally upright society legitimately exercising universal justice will do exactly what an attorney general did, promote good and restrain evil. Even our founding fathers believed in death penalty. When Thomas Jefferson was asked about how to punish murderers and people who commit treason, he said, the person so convicted shall suffer death by hanging. In May 2002, Justice Scalia said he has a duty as a Supreme Court justice to allow death penalty to be used. He also stated, I cannot take part in a process if I believe that what is being done to be immoral. In my view, the choice for a judge who believes in the death penalty to be immoral is a sign of resignation. Even the world leaders like Boris Johnson said when asked about the death penalty at Parliament, I think what people of this country want to see is proper sentencing for serious violent and sexual offenders. Because we believe in our laws and decide our laws by our morals, we also believe that people should have their freedoms and have their freedoms not controlled by others. And that is all.
Guatemala, your first speech.
Sure. So right now our teacher's having some issues, but she's trying to fix them.
Okay, no problem.
Here she is.
Okay, hi, I'm logged in through my phone, so my students can't actually see you guys, but I can see the presentations right now, okay?
Okay, so Dulce and I will present. Just give us a sec.
Okay.
Turn your cameras on, girls. I turned mine off because of my internet problem.
Sure. Just do you think you could let me share my screen since we're using for the presentation? I don't know who the owner of the meet is. Hey, do you think you could change like the access for me to share my screen? Because we'll use a presentation.
We got it now.
Okay,
Hi,
see it right there, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, good morning. We are Daniela Morales and Dulce Mendoza. We're going to give our point of view of being against death penalty in Guatemala.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, no, that's not helping. Okay, but we're gonna talk first about what is death penalty, and we're just gonna set the status quo for our presentation to Guatemala specifically. Just give me a second because this is not helping, sorry. Dulce, like, what part of the presentation can you see right now?
Just
Just where it says death penalty.
yes.
It's
Oh,
all we can see.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna talk about
Middle page.
Okay, so we're going to talk about what is death penalty, Guatemala's law regarding death penalty, the death penalty history in our country, our stand, and our conclusions.
What is death penalty? Capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is a state-sanctioned practice of killing people as a punishment for a crime.
Guatemala's law regarding death penalty. According to the ruling of the Constitutional Court in 2017, there is no longer a crime that contemplates this punishment, as confirmed by the entity at the time.
Death penalty history. In 1983, 5 executions have been carried out since 1983. Last execution took place on June 29 and 2000, and in 2017, Guatemala abolished the death penalty for civil crimes. Currently, the death penalty can only be applied in times of war.
So our stand with the death penalty. We are against death penalty since capital punishment violates and condemns a person's rights to life and is fundamentally inhumane and degrading. And sadly, our justice system is just not reliable. The death penalty is only intended for use as a punishment for the most serious crimes like murder. But however, in places around the world, governments have used executions for non-lethal crimes. This includes drug-related offenses, vulgarity, adultery, blasphemy, and political crimes. It becomes clear that many governments are not interested in justice, but rather suppression and control. As the American Civil Liberties Union believes, the state should not give itself the right to kill human beings, especially when it kills them with premeditation and ceremony. These does not deter the crime. Countries that retain the death penalty often claim that it is a deterrent against a crime. This position has been repeatedly discredited since there is no such evidence that shows that this is more effective than prison in reducing crime.
So, in conclusion, we stand for our opinion since there's no such crime that receives death as a punishment due to it being inhuman and unnecessary and unreliable considering the various inaccuracies that our justice system tends to present.
So that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Daniela and Dulce. Do you guys have any questions for them?
Yes, we do. First question. So if our justice system or any justice system was perfect, would you still allow the death penalty to exist?
No, I mean, it's unreliable. I mean, like, it's uncertain. Like, it just not works the way it should be, sadly. I mean, it's not our fault, like, as citizens, but at the end, it's just not reliable at this point. Like to say, okay, we can kill these people or punish them in certain ways.
When you say it's unreliable, are you talking about the punishment itself or the way it's enforced?
No, the justice system when taking this kind of decisions. I mean, in the past history, we have seen how some mistakes have been made. And we don't think that with this justice system having this past mistakes done, it would be like, I don't know how to say.
But like, if you answer the hypothetical, if it was perfect, if like everyone that got convicted was actually convicted of like stuff they were doing that were wrong, and the punishment seemed to fit the crime, would you still allow it?
No, I mean, we're still taking away the right to life of people. It's degrading and inhumane. And like we mentioned it in the presentation, that however, it's like been used for non-lethal crimes and it's just humane and degrading. And how us as citizens, we should believe that the state should not like kill people with premeditation and ceremony, like it being like transmitted on live Facebook and TV, like I said, it has been done before. Like that just shows that the government is just doing it like the people that kill other people.
Why should we care about criminals who committed horrible crimes? Like
it's not about caring, but like setting the example that's not like kill eye for an eye. Like here we're just using like the eye for an eye, like you kill someone, you get killed. But the justice system should be more about working as a community to fix these problems and not just eliminate them.
Well, how is it fixing the problem if you're still allowing them to live?
you're not allowing them. You're just like, we're talking about prison sentences and yeah.
One more question. Why is only execution apply at war, but generally not?
I mean, I'm really not sure. That's just how it's stated in the legal code right now.
Hey, Daniela, could that include Civil War too, though?
I'm not sure. It doesn't go into that part of a detail since it hasn't been talked about years.
All right. Well, do you have any questions for us?
It excludes military executions.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
We have another speaker.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Do I start? Yeah. Okay. So the death penalty has been deterring crime and criminals recently over the years. The death penalty sentencing has been reducing drastically since 1973. This year, only 11 people were executed compared to 17 last year and 22 from the year before that. Therefore, the decrease in sentencing means that the crime is deterring because of the death penalty. The death penalty usually doesn't guarantee that someone is going to die. What it means is that plenty of people, nearly 25%, die of natural causes while they await their execution. This would instigate panic in people, making them more self-aware of the outcomes of their results. However, as popular belief, they say that innocent people can be, or people who actually didn't commit the crime were sentenced to the death penalty, but federal courts began to thoroughly review the state criminal defendants and were afforded their guaranteed rights to due process. Errors and official misconduct began to regularly appear, requiring retrials. When defendants were now afforded more experienced counsel with fairly selected juries and were granted access to scientific testing, some were acquitted and released. Since 1973, 186 former death row prisoners have been exonerated of all charges related to the wrongful convictions that had put them on death row. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Your speaker? If not, we have another speaker on our side.
Go ahead, David, can you present? And here's Diego. Hold on. David, you're gonna have to be the one sharing the presentation because we can't see it here. We can't do it here.
Okay, Miss.
Sí, ya tengo presentado. No miro la presentación.
He's gonna show it right now.
Si quieres, lo tengo.
There.
Good morning, everyone.
Could you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the death penalty in Guatemala. And my group is David Kichan and me, Diego Orellana.
I'm having some problems with my connection, I think.
I think it's the whole area because it's very windy today.
It's not like loading. Could we like just talk without the presentation?
Yeah, go ahead. You don't have to show us.
Okay.
You don't.
Give me a second. Okay. So, what is death penalty? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, death penalty is death as punishment for crime.
Guatemala's law regarding the death penalty. The Guatemala Constitution establishing the death penalty, but it has not been applied since 2000 in 2004. The degree regulating pardon was repealed and allowed to the president to suspend or not the execution. Article 18 of the Guatemalan Constitution establishes the death penalty, therefore, according to the ruling of the Constitution Court in 2017. There is no longer a crime that contemplates this punishment.
Guatemala is one of the few countries in the region where the death penalty is still in force. Its last application was made in the year 2000, and it was applied to 2 convicted kidnappers. The men were executed by lethal injection and their deaths were broadcast on television. As of 2020, the death penalty is legal in 25 states, most recently in Washington, Delaware, Maryland, Connecticut, and Illinois. They all have abolished capital punishment, and also Florida is one of the 30 states that have death penalty. The first execution in Florida was in 1827. The death penalty should stay prohibited, as everyone has the right to life. The death penalty does not have an effective deterrent effect. It hasn't been shown that the deterrent effect of death penalty is greater than the one of imprisonment. As a fact, in many of the countries where death penalty has been abolished, crime rates have decreased. The average murder rate in the United States for states that still use the death penalty is higher than in states where it isn't. In 2006, 30 years after Canada abolished the death penalty for common crimes, the murder rate has dropped by more than a third. The death penalty is a waste of taxes and has no public safety benefit. The vast majority of law enforcement professionals surveyed agree that
Supporting details. The constitutional history of Guatemala began before the independence, with the Constitution of Bayonne and Cádiz. The first reference to the death penalty is found on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Central America on November 22 in 1824. In the political Constitution of the Republic of Central America of September 9, 1921, it was arranged that the death penalty would be abolished in the first constitution of the state of Guatemala of October 11, 1825. Article 182 includes the death penalty, the constitutions of the Republic of Guatemala of the 20th century. In the judgment cited in the preceding paragraph, the IACHR resolved 7, the state must adopt within a reasonable time a procedure that guarantees that every person sentenced to death has the right to request and, where appropriate, obtain a pardon in accordance with the regulation that establishes the authority in power to grant it. The assumption of origin and the prospective procedure in these cases, the sentence should not be excused while the decision on the requested pardon or commutation is pending. The quoted text can only be interpreted as an order of the Congress of the Republic of Guatemala to issue a decree reestablishing the remedy of commutation of the sentence, thus correcting the existing legal gap.
as a conclusion, death penalty does not decrease the crime rate in a country, as facts have shown. Guatemala's laws regarding death penalty establish that this type of punishment is no longer legal. Capital punishment does not deter a crime, and it only wastes taxes that could be used for better causes. This party supports these laws as it believes this punishment is simply ineffective. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.
Can you go next? Will someone go next or should we?
I'll be starting. 55% of Americans support the death penalty. According to 2017 Web poll, a survey the polling organization took 2 years latter after found 56% of Americans support capital punishment for convicted murders. 5 reasons for support. The death penalty is effectively deterrent. This is probably the most common argument in favor of capital punishment. And there actual some evidence that the death penalty may be deterrent to homicide, but it is very different. As such, the question is not just whether the death penalty prevents crime, but whether the capital punishment is more equally effective deterrent. The death penalty, after all, requires considerable funds and resources, making it extremely cost to implement. Moreover, traditional laws enforcement agencies and communities violence preventions programs. Do I need it?
Tell me we have announcements a second.
We have announcements.
Nadia, if you have another presentation, go ahead and do it now because we'll be on announcements.
I think she's having trouble with the internet again. But maybe Martin or Ignacio don't know.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we got announcements going on right now, so it'll be about another minute or two and we'll be back.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem.
If you have a mesh backpack, Please walk around your second
I'm
period
gonna
class after
continue my
announcements to
speech.
ensure all students are logging into Edgenuity or their Google Meet. If
The
you are
death
hosting a
penalty,
Google
the
Meet,
death penalty
please make
is
sure that
cheaper
you
than
are
feeding
logged
a
into your
murder
class
of
by
life.
9:45
According to the
a.m.
death penalty
This concludes
information
your daily
center,
announcement.
independent
Thank you and have a
studies
great
in
day,
several
Carlos.
states, including Oklahoma, reveal that the capital punishment is actually far more expensive to administer than the life imprisonment. This is due to the part of length appeals proceeds, which still needs innocent people to death row on fairly regular bias. In 1972, citing that the 8th and 14th Amendment, the Supreme Court abolished the death penalty due to arbitrary sentencing. Justice Potter Stewart wrote that for the majority, these death sentences are cruel and unusual in the same way that being struck by lightning is cruel and unusual. The 18th and 14th Amendment cannot tolerate the infraction of the sentence of death under legal systems that permit this unique penalty to be so wantonly and freakishly imposed. The Supreme Court resistance in the death penalty in 1976, but only after states reformed their legal status to be better protect the rights of the accused. As of 2019, 29 states continue to use capital punishment while 21 prohibit the death penalty. Murders deserve to die. Many Americans share this view, with others opposed that the death penalty, no matter what the crime was committed. Death penalty opponents also note that the government is imperfect human institutions and not an instrument of divine retribution. Therefore, it lacks the power. The mandate of the complex to make that good is always pardonable reward and evil always proportional punished. In fact, organizations such as the Innocence Project exist solely to advocate for the wrongful convicted and some of the convicted felonies and has represented have been on the death row. The Bible says an eye for an eye. Actually, there's a life support in the Bible for the death penalty. Jesus himself was sentenced to death, legally executed, had this to say, Matthew 5:3-4-8. You have heard that it was said, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn them in the other cheek also. If anyone wants to sue you, take your shirt, hand it over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give the one who asks you, and do not turn away from one who wants to borrow from you. You heard that it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rains and rigorous and unrigorous. If to love those who you love, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing? And if you greet only people that you're doing more than others, don't even paganize do that. Be perfect, therefore, as the Heavenly Father is perfect. What about the Hebrew Bible? Well, ancient rabbinic courts almost never enforced the death penalty due to high standards of evidence required. The Union of Reform Judas URJ, which represents a majority of American Jews, has called for the total abolition of the death penalty since 1959. Families deserve closure. Families find closure in many different ways, and many never find closure at all. Regardless, closure is not an influence of how do you say that? Vengeance, the desire for which it is unstandable from an emotional point of view, but not from a legal perspective. Vengeance is not justice. The friends and families of murder victims who live with that loss for the rest of their lives, with or without conventional policy objectives such as the death penalty, providing and funding long-term mental health care and other services to the families of the murder victims, and one way is supporting them. I'm done.
Thank you.
Okay, Martin, porfa. Por favor, please. ¿La vas a dar, Martín?
Yes, sí.
Okay.
So beginning the case, we're gonna start by the meaning, of death penalty. The meaning of death penalty is a state sanctioned practice of killing a person as a punishment for a crime. In Guatemala, the main methods of execution were decapitation, lethal injection, and shot to death.
We should not be reverting to less human methods of execution, and the drug companies' objection to use of lethal injection drugs should signal a need to abolish the penalty altogether.
Execution is the ultimate punishment. The risk of executing an innocent person can never be eliminated. Others have been executed despite serious doubts about their guilt. There are various examples of this happening to this date. They have discovered over 150 allegedly wrongfully executed people. Research proves that the death penalty is ineffective. It does not deter crime, and it is extremely expensive to administer. We cannot risk executing innocent people and wrongfully accusing them, while in the process lose more money than needed. Death penalty cases cost around 1.26 million, and which is more money to have them life sentenced.
Death penalty is an immoral punishment state that humans should not kill other humans, no matter the reason, because killing is killing.
We think that there should not be a counter argument that the fact that the death penalty should not be applied in any crime whatsoever, or justification for it to be applied to any serious felony. As said earlier, killing is killing, and there is always a punishment for a crime. Thank you.
I want to be reading the second speech. Today, capital punishment is reserved for brutal and heinous crimes, such as first-degree murder. Some countries use the death penalty for repeated violent crimes such as rape and sexual assault, or for specific drug offenses. Here are the pro arguments for the death penalty. First, it is a way to provide justice for victims while keeping the general population safe. There is an exception in society that you should be able to live your life without the threat of harm. Here, when there is someone who decides to go against this expectation by committing a violent crime, then there must be steps taken to provide everyone else the safety that they deserve. Although arguments can be made for rehabilitations, there are people who would continue their violent tendencies no matter what. The only way to keep people safe in those circumstances and still provide a sense of justice for the victim is the use of the death penalty. It provides a deterrent against serious crimes. The reason why there are consequences in place for criminal violations is that we want to have a deterrent effect on specific behaviors. People who are considering a breach of the law must see that the consequences of their actions are worse if they go through without the action compared to the following the law. Although up to 88% of criminologists in the United States report that capital punishment is not an effective deterrent to homicide, the fact that it can prevent some violence does make it a useful tool to have in society. 3, it offers a respectful outcome. A critical component of justice in a modern society involves punishing criminal behavior in a way that is not cruel or unusual. That societal expectation has led the United States to implement capital punishment by using lethal injections. Although some regions struggled to purchase the necessary drug to administer lethal injections, the process putting someone to sleep before they stop breathing eliminates the pain and negative outcomes associated with other execution methods. Modern processes in modern society are more compassionate compared to the historical methods of hanging, firing squads, or other gruesome methods of taking a life under the law. 4, it maintains prison population at manageable levels. Over 2 million people are currently part of the prison population in the United States. About 1 in 5 people currently in jails across the country are awaiting trials for charges that they face. That is about the same amount of people who are labeled as being violent offenders. By separating those who are convicted of capital crime, we create more room for individuals who want to work through rehabilitation programs or otherwise improve their lives and live law-abiding futures. This structure makes it possible to limit the financial and spatial impacts which occur when serious crimes require long-term prisoner care. 5th, it offers society an appropriate consequence for violent behavior. There are criminals who have a desire to rehabilitate their lives and create a new future for themselves within the bounds of the law. There are also criminals who desire to continue their criminal behaviors. By keeping capital punishment as an option within society, we create an appropriate consequence that fits the action taken by the criminal. The death penalty ensures that the individuals involved will no longer be able to create havoc for the general population because they are no longer around. That process creates peace for the victims, their families, and society in general. 6, it eliminates sympathetic reactions to someone charged with the capital crime. The United States offers a confrontational system of justice because that is an effective way to address the fact of the case. We make decisions based on logic instead of emotion. The law must be able to address the actions of criminal in a way that discourages other people from conducting themselves in a similar manner. Our goal should be address the needs of each victim and their family more than it should be to address the physical needs of a person charged with a capital crime. 7, it stops the threat of escape that alternate sentences would create. The fastest way to stop a murderer from continuing to kill people is to eliminate their ability to do so. That is what capital punishment does. The death penalty makes it impossible for someone convicted of murder to find ways that kill other people. Failing to execute someone who is taking a life unjustly, who is able to kill someone else, make us all responsible for that action. Although there are issues from a moral standpoint of taking any life, we must remember that convicted criminals made the decision to violate the law in the first place, knowing full well what their potential outcome would be. Thank you.
Oh, it's your turn.
Okay, just let me check with them. They're ready because they're at school and they're having some internet problems.
Okay.
Sebas, ¿están? Hey, so we have kind of an issue right now because our period with our teacher just ended and we have another class. So we want to see if we could like reschedule for the missing groups.
Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and record her rebuttal real quick and then we'll just end it, okay?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you at what, 1:40?
I'm not sure. I will, maybe Ms. Naya will tell me.
Okay, thanks. Go
She
ahead.
said thank you and she apologizes for the inconvenience.
Okay. Well,
Is it recording?
I think it is.
Yeah, go.
Well, my name is Alondra and I will be giving the rebuttal. In response to your claims, I would like to contradict everything with our arguments that the death penalty is way more less expensive without the legal cost. It offers a respectful outcome. It offers society an appropriate consequence for violent behavior, and it is a way to provide justice for victims while keeping the general population safe. We won because what we said has facts to support, while most of what you stated is based on people's feelings and opinions. Thank you for hearing. That's all I have to say.